Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today. Look, if you're a focused learner trying to seriously level up your productivity, you are exactly where you need to be. Our goal today is super clear and, honestly, highly actionable. We're going to transform your AI interactions from totally generic to true expert level. And we're going to do it using just 3 simple, powerful phrases. If you've ever felt like AI just kind of isn't delivering that magic you were promised, well, stick around, because we are absolutely going to fix that right now.
You know, there's this moment almost every single professional experiences when they first try Claude. You type something in, you get a response. And for a split second, you're like, wow, okay, this is impressive. But then you try it on a real, actual task. You type in something a bit vague, and you get something incredibly generic right back. You probably think, okay, it's useful, but it's really not as mind-blowing as I expected. Well, let me tell you right now, that gap, the gap between what Claude can actually do and what you're getting, it is not a technology problem. It's a communication problem. Vague input literally equals generic output. And honestly, the best part is that this has a completely learnable solution.
Okay, let's dive into this highly structured masterclass progression. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll cover 1. The communication gap. 2. The consultant mindset. Then the exact 3 power phrases you need. 3. Phrase 1, act as. 4. Phrase 2, my context is. And 5. Phrase 3, the goal is. And finally, 6. Your first expert prompt.
Starting right off with Section 1, the communication gap. Unlearning the wrong way. Before we can learn the right way to talk to Claude, we actually have to unlearn the wrong way. And the wrong way is something almost all of us do purely on instinct, thanks to how we've been trained by the internet over the last 20 years. Now, what's really interesting about this is the contrast between our default search engine behavior and what Claude actually needs. Look, Claude is not a search engine. When you go to Google, short is better, right? You toss in 3 words, maybe a keyword, a tiny question fragment, and the search engine just fills in the rest from its indexed pages. But Claude operates totally differently. It responds specifically and exactly to what you give it. If you feed it fragments, you're going to get fragmented, surface-level responses back. To get the absolute most out of it, you need the Claude mindset. Detailed, specific context where the AI responds exactly to your precise brief.
Moving right along to Section 2, the consultant mindset, learning to delegate.
This right here is the mental shift required to get professional-grade work from Claude. It's really not about learning to code, it's about learning how to delegate. Imagine you've just hired a brilliant consultant. This person has unbelievably deep expertise in basically every field you can think of: finance, law, marketing, strategy, and they're sitting right across the table from you. You wouldn't just look at a senior consultant and vaguely say, hey, write me something. No way. You'd give them deep context. You'd explain the exact situation, the target audience, and whatever constraints you have. Treating Claude like this senior expert who requires a precise brief to succeed, that is the entire skill. Once you make this mental shift, everything changes.
Let's look at a classic example. Help me write an email to a client. This is exactly what most people type. And honestly, this gives Claude almost 0 to work with. It's completely weak. You're forcing this brilliant AI to just guess your tone, your industry, the client's problem, and your ultimate goal. Now contrast that with this much stronger prompt. I need to write an email to a government client who has not responded in 2 weeks. The relationship is important. I need a response within 48 hours. You're giving Claude a specific situation, a government client, a relationship context. It's important. It represents long-term revenue. And a constraint, you need a response within 48 hours. Providing this exact level of detail creates the difference between an email you instantly delete and an email you actually hit send on. Claude responds directly to the quality and specificity of what you give it.
Let's jump into Section 3, Phrase 1, act as, adopting an identity.
Okay, now we're getting into the specific mechanics. We're going to give you 3 phrases today that act as direct signals to Claude. Act as. Those are literally the 2 most important words in your new toolkit. When you tell Claude to act as a senior marketing consultant or a sharp legal reviewer, something fundamental shifts under the hood. Without this phrase, Claude gives you a very general, almost Wikipedia-style answer. But with act as, it adopts a professional identity. It assumes a very specific frame of reference. It completely stops over-explaining the basic stuff you already know and starts giving you the sharp, refined judgment of a seasoned professional.
Here's a great before example. Help me prepare for a difficult client meeting. If you type this in, Claude is going to give you a bulleted list of generic preparation tips. And yeah, it's technically correct, sure, but it's completely generic. It isn't calibrated to you or to the actual high stakes of your specific meeting.
And this brilliantly illustrates the power of our first phrase. Act as a senior client relationship manager with 15 years of experience handling difficult government clients. By forcing Claude to adopt a seasoned specialist's identity, the output is immediately elevated. The AI now has real domain knowledge and a defined problem to solve. Seriously, use this every single time you open a conversation. It takes maybe 10 seconds and it changes everything.
Moving to Section 4, Phrase 2, my context is overcoming AI amnesia.
So this next phrase addresses the absolute biggest structural problem with using Claude, its complete lack of memory. Every single time you open a new conversation, it starts completely fresh. It's got absolute amnesia. It doesn't know your industry, it doesn't know your clients, and it definitely doesn't know your communication style. My context is the phrase that calibrates the output to your specific professional reality. You literally have to explicitly tell it who you are, so the output stops being generic and starts being perfectly tailored to your unique situation.
So, what actually makes a strong context statement? Well, you need these 4 crucial elements. I highly recommend grabbing a pen and writing these down today. Number 1, who you are professionally. Number 2, who you work with or serve. Number 3, what you are trying to achieve. And number 4, what constraints or sensitivities exist in your environment. Context doesn't have to be super long, but it absolutely positively must be specific.
Here is a highly specific example. My context is, I am the managing director of a boutique consultancy. We work exclusively with government. My clients are time-poor, skeptical of consultants. I am competitive against Big 4 firms, but win on personal attention and speed. By pasting that into your prompt, Claude instantly knows your world. Every strategy or email it helps you build is now firmly grounded in your specific competitive reality. Spend just 5 minutes writing your context statement today and paste it into every single important session.
All right, Section 5, Phrase 3, the goal is defining the outcome.
This is our final power phrase, and honestly, it's the one that most beginners completely skip over. So, the crucial point is, the people ask for help with a document, but they never actually tell Claude what success looks like. The goal is defines the exact outcome. Beginners ask for an executive summary. Experts define what that summary actually needs to achieve. If you don't provide the goal, Claude just optimizes for the wrong thing. It just makes the writing cleaner, rather than making it persuasive or urgent or whatever you actually need it to be.
Notice how unbelievably powerful this distinction is. The goal is to make a skeptical procurement committee feel that choosing us is the lowest risk, highest value decision they can make, and to make them feel it before they finish the first paragraph. Wow, right? Defining the emotional and strategic goal changes every single word choice Claude makes. The structure, the emphasis, it all becomes a function of achieving that specific outcome. It literally turns good writing into writing that actually does something.
And that brings us to Section 6, your first expert prompt, bringing it all together.
It is time to bring this entire explainer together into a highly actionable conclusion. Let's move to and see how this builds a complete expert-level brief. It's like stacking blocks. Step 1, you give Claude an identity with act as. Step 2, you ground it in your reality with my context is. And step 3, you define the desired outcome with the goal is. Stacking these 3 blocks completely transforms Claude from a polite, general assistant into a high-performance specialist calibrated perfectly to your exact needs. And that brings us to your Day 1 practice challenge. It is officially time to stop treating Claude like a fun little experiment and start having a real conversation about your real work. Everything we've covered today comes down to what you are going to do right after this. I want you to try this exact prompt today. Act as a senior executive coach. Ask me 8 specific questions that will reveal exactly how I work. Give me a summary of what you now understand about me. Fill in your real information. Answer Claude's questions honestly. The summary Claude generates at the end of this exchange, that will become your personal professional brief. Save it and literally use it for all your future sessions. So, I'll leave you with this final, provocative thought. Are you ready to brief your new, brilliant assistant and change how you work forever? Because you've got the mindset now. You have the 3 power phrases. The communication gap is officially closed. Go open Claude, paste in that practice prompt, and experience the power of expert-level AI for yourself. Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer, and happy prompting!